Hi there, this is Councillor Hope Jamieson. Happy St. John's Days. Today I will be reading you The Jelly Bean Row, written by Susan Pynn Taylor and illustrated by Elizabeth Pratt. Mrs. Codger's portrait of her blue-haired aunt austere hung above the salt box, looking rather worse for wear. That old picture hid a smidge upon her purple-painted wall, till a neighbor slammed a door and caused her face to fall. Through that wall she heard the Live Your Lads, a rowdy bunch, arguing and loudly chomping pea soup for their lunch. You can see somebody's pea soup. Mrs. Codger pounded on their door and yelled, "Please, knock off with that racket," just as one young liver sneezed. Soup was now drip-dripping from her nose onto her vamps. Mrs. traipsed back to her house so mad she fairly danced. Rhubarb jam in one hand and baked apples in the other. She lobbed them at her neighbor's fence, but clipped a Livier brother. Now the Liviers both saw red, yes, they were pretty miffed. They filled a bag with ketchup and they let the contents drift. It landed with a splat upon Mrs. Codger's cockapoo, and little Keegan yelled, "Food fight!" and the neighbors joined in too. Sardines were flying through the air and oats rolled through the grass. Spaghetti hung from rooftops and most homes got new stained glass. Raw eggs and cherries splattered home. Salt cod slid down a door. There they are. Bright orange syrup splished where it had never splashed before. Yes, all along that gooey street, big mounds of Jell-O jiggled. Young Tristan dropped tomatoes from his room as Sarah giggled. Mr. Mercer thought a flying pork chop worth a chuckle, till his face became displaced by fresh blueberry buckle. In no time flat the air was thick with makings of a scoff. The mayor called the RNC to close the whole street off. The Heritage Committee folks were jumping up and down. The seagulls were embarrassed. All the pets moved out of town. The CBC was on the scene. Rex Murphy had some views about the great kerfuffle, which he dubbed the fish and brews. The Premier was alerted. She rushed right down with a mop. It seemed like it might never end till someone hollered, "Stop!" The whole shebang came to a halt. The sea of people parted. Mrs. and Live Your Lads surveyed the mess they started. The only sound was dripping of the apricot preserves. And little Keegan shook his head and whispered, "Oh, me nerves." The people started giggling. Each one hugged a sticky neighbor. They laughed and cried, apologized, and shared the messy labor. Then everybody promised to behave from that day hence, and even Mrs. Codger helped the Liviers clean their fence. They helped each other paint their homes in yellows, pinks, and blues, a bright reminder of the row that made the evening news. And since that time, all folks were kind on both sides of the street, so locals gave the neighborhood a name that sounded sweet. Well, that's how it happened, or it could just be a tale. But one thing is for certain, even when there's fog and hail, the sunny rows of houses give a warm and friendly glow, just like the down-home folks who live on Jelly Bean Row. Have a great time at St. John's Days, friends. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.